there. So now we're going to take a look at some of the online tools that are available for the college search and admissions process. We'll start with the College Board website. So I'm just going to type College Board into my browser, and it should be the first thing that comes up. There it is. We click on that, and here we are with the College Board website. Now, if you don't already have an account, you should create one and sign in. Just to give you an overall layout of the land, we'll take a look first at the major topic headings. We have the SAT section dealing with AP tests, Access, which really focuses on college planning and searching, and then a number of choices over here which we're not going to look at right now. We're going to focus on Access. Let's go down to the college search option. Click on that and it will take you to the major search engine. Along the left-hand side, you'll see a number of options in terms of different characteristics that schools might possess. You want to have the gray Save Selections highlighted, and we'll start by looking for schools in a very broad sense. The more specific your search, the shorter your list. This can get a little bit sticky because sometimes a college or a university might categorize, let's say, a particular major using a select few words. But the College Board website may identify that same major using a different set of words. So rather than go for a very specific search right now, which would limit us, we're just going to start with very broad general terms. So let's go for test scores and selectivity. Just for the sake of this exercise, we're going to look for a school that has, let's say, looks for SAT scores around 500 per section. Okay, then we'll go for type of school. Let's say we want a four-year university, and we don't care if it's private or if it's private or public. Let's go for a medium-sized co-ed school. No religious affiliation. Location, this is pretty important. You have two options here. You can decide that you want schools within a specific distance of home. So let's say 300 miles from, we'll go for the city of Philadelphia because that's where I live. Or you can pick specific regions of the country or even specific states, but we're going to go with distance for the sake of this exercise. So right now we have very broad parameters. We have SAT scores, type of school, and location, and already we're down to 154 results. If we broaden our geographic parameters a little bit, we get more schools. Campus and housing. I would not select the type of setting at this point, but let's say that we want a place where students do live on campus. Majors and environment, again, I would stay away from this for your initial searches. Same thing for sports and activities, academic credit, payment, support services, and diversity. So let's go up and look at our results. You can see again the number of results here. We have 120 results, but let's check out what they are. So we have a number of colleges. If you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see we have 6 pages of them. So let's just pick a few to take a look at. We'll look at Millersville University to start. Regardless of the school, the format is always the same. You've got the title at the top and the name of the town with the state. Then we have a menu over to the left. At a glance is the home page for each school, and that provides you with some very basic stats on each school. You have a brief description here of the type of setting and type of school. This is really helpful. The school's website gives you the number of undergraduate students and the size of the freshman class, and it gives you the percentage of students that graduate within 6 years. I mentioned previously that this can be a pretty important number. This is the average amount of financial aid that each family receives per year. And there is an option to calculate the net price of tuition based on your unique circumstances. The College Board code that's listed here is important because when you decide to send SAT or ACT scores to a school, you'll need to know the code for that school. This is where you find that number. This, I think, is the most valuable part of the at a glance page. It gives you the direct dial number for the admissions department and the email for the admissions department. It can be very difficult to find these two pieces of information, believe it or not, so this is your best option for that. Another great feature here is you have the address, but you can also get directions to the school. If you click on this, it really acts like a MapQuest type function where it gives you driving directions to the school and will calculate how long it'll take you to get there. So that way you can tell really how far a school is from home. We're going to go back up to the main menu and click on deadlines. There is a deadlines section for each school. It tells you the admissions policy. For instance, this school has rolling admissions, and it tells you when they'll begin accepting applications, October 3rd. This information is accurate about 90% of the time. You always want to double check this on a school's own website to make sure that the dates and policies are correct. Same thing for the testing. They say that they want you to send SAT scores, but that doesn't indicate whether or not they require them. So always check this information with the school's own website. We'll take a look at majors and learning environment next. This is where you can find, again, some of those key pieces of information that I mentioned previously in Module 2. It tells you the faculty-student ratio, 19:1, which is pretty high. The returning rate for sophomore year, this is that retention rate that I mentioned, 77%. That's pretty low, so that would kind of raise some red flags. And again, the percentage of students that graduate in 6 years, 61%, is also sort of low. So that's something that you want to sort of be wary of and ask questions about as well. Now, the majors and learning environment page will list all the majors that a school offers, but this page is not always accurate. So again, make sure that you double check this information by going to a school's own website. We're going to go next to campus life. Again, you'll see some really vital statistics here. You have the total number of undergraduates up here and the size of the freshman class, and then the number of graduate students. For student body, you can get a look at the average age of the student. This is pretty typical for most schools. Only 14% of the students are part-time, which is good. That means that 86% are full-time. Race and ethnicity, here you kind of get a feel for how diverse the student population is and what the breakdown is exactly. And the gender ratio. And again, because this school happens to be a state school, you can look at how many kids come from out of state. So 94% of the student body is from in-state. Housing is pretty important. 79% of students live in college housing the first year. This is actually a fairly low number. And 31% live in college housing overall. This means that a lot of kids live off campus. So when you think about the type of campus community that might exist there, you want to ask some questions because a lot of kids clearly are not on campus. They have co-ed housing. There's some details here. Student activities, again, this page is somewhat accurate. You really need to check this out with the college's website, but we have some pretty important numbers down here. The school does have Greek life, and this gives you the percentage of the student body that participates in Greek life, which is pretty low. So Greek life doesn't play a major role on this campus. They list sports. This can be fairly accurate, and support services, but like I've said before, check it with the school's website. Applying. This is a very helpful page. What's important? They tell you what the most important factors are when considering an application. Academic GPA is first, class rank is second. Rigor of school record is third. Application requirements. This says that the SAT is required. Academic GPA. This section for coursework requirements tells you what they're looking for. They want to see 4 years of English. 2 years of foreign language is recommended but not required, 3 years of math, so on and so forth. The more rigorous the school, the more stringent these recommendations are for course requirements. SAT and ACT, this is what everybody really wants to see when they look at this website. We're going to look at the old SAT right here, and this gives you the breakdown per section of what they're looking for. This is the new SAT, and this, of course, is the ACT. I forgot to show you under GPA. If you scroll down past the coursework requirements, you get the percentage of students that are in the top 10th of the class, top quarter of the class, and typically down here you get a percentage breakdown for GPA of newly admitted students. That's not offered for this school, unfortunately. These next two sections, or tabs, AP and CLEP, they tell you whether or not you can submit AP test scores to get college credits and the minimum score that you have to have. And last but not least, we're going to look at paying. It differentiates between in-state and out-of-state costs. Because this is a state school, you can look, if you live on campus freshman year, the tuition is $27,000. If you're from out of state, it's $36,000, so it is substantially more expensive. So the College Board, as you can see, is a great tool for getting information, data, and statistics about schools. But you do have to do a lot of clicking and moving around the website. I do want to mention that you can compare schools. If you go back to that initial list that we had in the very beginning, our college search, here we go. You can drag schools into your My College list. So I'm going to put Marymount Manhattan and I'm going to put Millersville in here. And then if you click on these two schools, you can compare them side by side. They'll provide like major statistics for you side by side, which can be really helpful. So the next website that we're going to take a look at is SCORE, which is a different tool for researching schools.